The Times, government to announce major increase in legal aid funding to clear asylum backlog. Because there are so many asylum seekers that have not been turned around immediately and sent back, and indeed have failed their initial claim, they're allowed to appeal. Now, the UN Convention on Refugees does not require an appeals process to be in place. The appeals process was something that was introduced by John Major's government back in 1993, completely unnecessary. The UN Convention of Refugees in the United Kingdom had survived from 1951 right up until 1993 without asylum seekers being given the right of appeal. But for some reason, no doubt there were vested interests behind that, they made it the law that if your asylum claim failed, you had a right to appeal. So what that meant is that all these people could just hang around in the country. And if you couldn't afford a lawyer, guess what? Gubbins here, the great British taxpayer, will pay your appeal. And so that's really when the appeal system really started to go through the floor and really started to build up a huge backlog of unnecessary cases. And what then also happens with a lot of these people is by the time their appeal comes around, they actually have been in the country for long enough that they've developed what's called a family life. So if they lose their appeal, they can appeal again against deportation on the basis of having a right to a family life under the ECHR. So the whole appeals process just really rubbished the asylum system and made it essentially unworkable. And we've always said that what has to happen is that we have to go back to the situation where appeals are forbidden, that they're no longer allowed. Anyway, we're in the ridiculous situation now that there's such a backlog of people waiting on appeals that the government's solution is to raise more funds from the taxpayer to give to the asylum seekers to pay the lawyers, to encourage the lawyers to take up more cases. Just imagine like the exact 180-degree opposite of what we would believe multiplied by 10, and that's what you'll get from the Starmer government.